All right. Hey. Different view. Now I feel like, does it look fine? Should it be more up? Okay. I think this is good. All right. So, I am in a different place, but I'm trying out my mic, so hopefully all this sounds good. So I wanted to talk more about the Camino, right? And I think one big question that I think a lot of people have are like, okay, so who do I go with? Or like, can I go alone? And I'm a woman, so I think that's always one question, right? The safety. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about that. I saw a lot of people, they did go in groups. There are like companies that you can contract, I guess the best way to say it, and they can do it different ways. So you can either go with someone who is a guide and they are taking you. I met some of these guides even along, and they don't always walk right by you, because you guys are going to be at different speeds. But, they might tell you like, okay, this is where we're going to stay and this and that. And then they have itineraries and stuff like that. There are people who do that more for sport. There are companies who are like, it's for the sport or it's for the experience or more of the spiritual woo-woo side. And then there are organizations that do it in the Catholic side. There's one group that I know of, so I will put their link below. And they do things where they can be there. But what a lot of these companies do, or people, there's actually individuals who do this as well, is they just create your itinerary. So let's say you have 2 weeks. You're not going to be able to do the whole 33 days. So then those days that you are going to be on the Camino, they tell you where you can stay and how much you're going to walk. And then let's say if you're like, oh, I don't want to walk 20 kilometers or 20 kilometers is my cap, then they create a way that you do that. Or like, I think I can do 30 one day or this and that. And they create it so that even before you start, you have all the places you're going to stay and all the cities you're going to be in. And I think they even recommend food places that you can go to. So that's an option. And they do it personalized too. So if you're like, oh, I'm just going alone, they can also set that up for you if you feel that would be better. I did not do that. I just went knowing that I started in Saint Jean and ended up in Santiago. And yeah, I actually had a plan. I talked to someone, if I can find her information, I'll put it here, that this is actually her own kind of company as well, that she, tells people and gives advice and this and that. And she told me of certain places I should go to and where I could gear off. I ended up not doing that. I think I would do it in the next Camino. I think I needed to get into the rhythm, and now I know. And so I could definitely like stay in certain places and maybe stay in not the official. I would definitely, if I do it again, or when I do it again, I doubt I will stay in the official places unless it's like a really cool city like Logroño or Burgos or León. I think my dog wants to greet. And so, say hello, Paps. Yeah, I think that is a really big thing. You need to figure out if you want someone to plan it for you or not. And once again, these groups can be like a group of people or they also form groups where you don't know the people that go. And there are, near the end, the last 100 kilometers, there are a lot of groups where people go more based on, what's the word? Like schools go, and like especially European schools. I thought like middle school groups and high school groups and even university groups, that they all went. So those are all different kind of things you can do to plan and who to go with. I saw a lot of couples, a lot of people go husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, people who were engaged, people who had been married for a really long time, people who were different things, different like moments in their relationship. I think it's a beautiful thing to do because you really get to know somebody in that way. You look a certain way, you are a pilgrim, especially if you do more of the longer versions of that walk. Sorry, it's just my computer's glaring at my eye. You do a longer version, it is, it's different than normal dating, and it allows for a closeness and I think it must really help in a relationship. Like if you're already in one, I think it really helps give clarity. I'm not saying it always helps like positively, right? Because I can't guarantee anything. But I do think it helps you just understand the person in a different way and see really how your partner responds to certain things about you. like maybe when you need help, and like maybe you learn things about how you need to learn how to better ask for help, or better be prepared for maybe certain things. And I think that's really healthy in a relationship, and it facilitates conversations that maybe you were putting off because you are together all day, or do you feel like you have to walk together all day, or is it good to have days where you guys walk separately? So I think all that is really good. People go with their friends. People go with church groups, all those kinds of things. I think that's really cool too. My friend just finished, and he is a father, like of the church, like he's a priest. And he went with a couple other priests that he knew. So, you know, he went with a group of friends, and then there was another priest that was, that was doing it, and he was from Scotland, but he came with his childhood friends. So none of them were priests, only him. And, you know, they did a little bit. They were really only able to do about a week. And so we saw them in the beginning, and it was really cool. And then they left. But, you know, and then my friend, he went with some priests that he knew. And I don't know the whole story. Hopefully we get to talk to him soon once I am near him, so we can do a little interview with him and how he felt with his experience. And, you know, so I think, you know, you can do it with people if you'd like. But preferably people you quite enjoy, and that you guys are understanding and respectful of each other's boundaries, because let's say you go with someone and they really, really, really just want you, they want like, we got to be together all the time, and that's like a bit much for you, then you're going to need to be mindful of that. And also the amount of time, right? Like, it's a month if you do the whole thing, or it can be, or it can be like a week. Or it can be 10 days or 2 weeks, you know? So all of that is important. Now, I went alone. I went not knowing anything, not knowing anyone. And I went because I felt God had called me to live this experience, and that my only real goal was to get closer to God in some sort of way. I knew that the experience would be a stretch, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and so I knew whatever did happen, it would allow me to have a close relationship with God in one way or another, and a close relationship with, or like a facing of reality of maybe what I believe that relationship looks like and how close I really am, right? So I went alone, and a lot of people go alone. I think a lot of people are going there to face themselves, face their demons, and experience something. I really value my time alone. I'm someone who, I am pretty independent. Like, if people didn't want to do things, I would do them myself. I never felt shy going to dinner alone. I go to like, if there's a place I really want to go eat and nobody wants to go with me, I'll go alone. I want people to have new experiences, and I try to tell them and be encouraging about it. But if people don't want to do it, I don't really care. Not in a rude way, more in a just like, well, I want to do this, so I'm going to do it. And I've been like that my whole life, so it's a good thing, I think. And so I wanted to do this, so I didn't even wait to ask anybody. I think I just didn't think about it. It was something that I wanted to do for me. So I was actually quite resistant, and people will tell you, the people who knew me, especially more in the beginning, in the very, very beginning. Yeah, like by the third day it was different, but which sounds crazy because like the third day, but I'm like, each day is incredibly long. It feels like each day feels like, I don't know, maybe a week, 4 or 5 days. It's just an incredibly dense experience. It was a month, but I felt like I lived 3 to 6 months. It was incredible. I mean, it feels like a whole chasm. In my year, I did so many things, and that itself felt like its own just year. I don't know how to explain it. It feels like a whole thing. Maybe 6 months I'll give it, but honestly, it just feels like a long time. But I really knew that what I wanted was to do it alone, and that I value my time alone in my thoughts, to sing alone, to dance alone, to laugh alone. I find all those things very important just for my mental well-being. I'm not scared being alone. so, almost too comfortable, some would say. So for me, I went alone and I was very happy with that decision. I actually don't regret it. If I do another one, I would mention to my friends that I'm doing it, like the ones who have done it, but I'm not gonna like wait around. If people invite me to do it with them, I would totally do it. I would love to, actually. I would love to even like lead a group. But if I feel at some point called, I wouldn't then again like, oh, wait around, like, oh, does someone want to do it with me? No, because that isn't in my personality. Would I do it with another person? Absolutely. With a group of friends or even people that did it, or even if they just want to do part of it and I have the ability to go, I'll go. Because I do like the experience. And even then, I would give them their time alone. And I would ask that they give me my time alone because it is important. Because I think, you are there to face yourself, even if you're like, oh, I didn't go with a spiritual thing in mind and this is just a fun experience and this is just something I want to do. That's okay. That's totally okay, actually. But it's good to spend that time alone. Even if you're not on the Camino, and you're just listening to this, take that time alone. Take those 5 minutes, those 10 minutes, to be with you. And I'm not talking about like prayer. I pray a lot, but sometimes I just needed to sit there and be with me. Because prayer is when and we're always in the presence of God, yes. But prayer is when we are seeking and communicating. And yes, you should have that quiet time where you're waiting to hear from the Lord, right? But sometimes you just got to be with you and let the Spirit really kind of show things about you that maybe you didn't want to see or you don't want to accept. And you want to take those hard truths because that is what pushes you to end up being who Christ wanted you to be or who you always were, right? And who maybe you've been covering yourself to be or hiding. And so I think going alone is a very good, plausible response. I don't think it's like, oh, don't do it, it's so scary. It's very safe too. If anything does happen, the authorities are very ready to do something because it is such a big part of the economy for these little towns that they want it to be safe. I mean, I would consider it, and I heard this over and over again. People are like, no, this is the safest thing a woman can actually do on her own in this drastic of a way, that you are walking alone. And sometimes you can look in front of you, especially when you're in like the meseta, the middle part, where there is no one in front of you and there is no one behind you. And I think in my normal day-to-day life, I grew up in like Southern California, Los Angeles, and it's like that would give me like a little bit of like, and I grew up kind of like being the person who has to look behind, bless you, look behind their shoulder, bless you, and that kind of thing, and being aware, and not because I'm paranoid, but because that's life, and you need to be mindful, and you need to be aware that this experience where I could just relax, and the people were kind, and they were good, and so I think this will be one where I talk about, so to summarize, there's different ways to really do it, in terms of like relation, right? So do you want to go alone? You can do it, no problem. Do you need help planning? Contact a company. There's so many, and there's people who do it. I think if you even look on Instagram, there are people who just do it kind of have something that they love because they've done it so many times. If you want a guide, there are guides. I'll be your guide. But all these kinds of things, like, they're available to you. So if that's something you want to do you want to do it as a group? Do you want to do it for something more focused? Like, I don't know, maybe you want a youth group, or I don't know, something. There are things available for that they do all the planning, and it kind of takes that little bit off of you, that stress, if you feel like that's something that you would want it to be taken care of. Yeah.